Hello friends, welcome to another video on my YouTube channel, and in this video you will learn how to build React agents. So let's get started. So React agents are special kind of agent. They do reasoning and then do action. So, reasoning and action based agent is a kind of a framework, that combines the reasoning capabilities of large language models, and you can attach tools to large language models, and basically it's a structured output. And, in that way you can take actions. There are, many frameworks that provide this kind of functionality: Llama Index, Langgraph, Langchain, and Crew AI. In this video, we will use a combination of Langgraph and Langchain to build our React agent, and we will attach few tools to our React agent, and that will make few things happen. So let's jump into the coding environment. So I have Visual Studio Code and a terminal. So the first thing I'll do is that I'll create a new virtual environment using venv. Then I'll source into the virtual environment. Then I'll pip install a few things. First, python-.env to read .env file. Then Langchain-core, then Langchain underscore OpenAI, I guess this will be underscore. Okay, and then I'll install Langgraph. Okay, let's install these things. Meanwhile, here I'll create a new main.py file, and in this main.py file we will import a few things. Let's say from Langchain OpenAI we will import Chat OpenAI. This will be our LLM. Then from Langchain core messages we will import human message and system message. Then from Langgraph dot pre-build. So Langgraph has a pre-built section where we can find this create React agent. We will use that. And now let's then create our agent itself. I guess before that I'll create my model. That will be my Chat OpenAI, and this will take two things: model name and my API key. So what I'll do is that in my .env file I'll put these three variables: open weather API key. You can go to open weather, create your account and get the API key. We will use it so that our agent can provide accurate weather information. Serper API key, this will help you get latest information from internet, so our agent can provide latest information about a topic from internet. And then finally OpenAI API key, you can put all these three into .env and then provide your values. So what I'll do is that I'll create a config.py file, and in this config.py file I'll read all the environment variables. So I'll just copy paste a few amount of code, and I guess I'll not need this. So what we are doing is that we are reading the environment file and then reading all the environment variables, and we are using OpenAI model GPT-4o mini. So let's save this. So what I'll do is that I'll say import config as well, and here I'll say config dot OpenAI model, and here config dot OpenAI API key. So now my model is ready. We will create our agent. So my agent will be create React agent. This will take a few arguments, as you can see. Okay, I'll first provide model equals to my model. So I'll say, let's say chunks equals to agent dot stream. The stream will take a kind of dictionary that will have messages key, and this messages will be a list of messages. I'll first pass our system message. The content will be you are a helpful assistant. Okay, and then my second message will be human message. The content will be, let's say, first hi, and what we will do is that we'll say for chunk in chunks, print the chunk itself, and let's say print 2 3 4 5. So let's run this and see what happens. So I'll come to my terminal and I'll say python main.py, and when I hit enter, oh, it says missing argument. So what I'll do is that at this point I'll provide empty list of tools, and when we hit enter, you can see we have got a beautiful response from this React agent. It's saying that, hello, how can I assist you today? So you can see this clearly works. Now, since we haven't added any tool here, let's try to add a tool into this agent so that it can do some work. And let's add a tool which gets you the current date and time. So what I'll do is that I'll create a new file. Let's say current underscore date underscore tool dot py, and here I'll create my tool. So in order to understand how this tool thing works, I'll go to an article by Langchain. We are using Langchain to create our tool. As you can see, I have mentioned we are going to use two things, Langgraph and Langchain. So if you come here, there is a functionality by Langchain with which you can create tools. So this tool is a kind of class which inherits the base tool class, and it must have name, description, and then few things depending on the use case of the tool, and it must have this underscore run method which overrides the base tool, and it can have asynchronous method underscore a run, and we will look into both of these. So let's create our first tool, and in order to create the time tool, I'll say import date time, and I'll say from Langchain core dot tools import base tool. Now I'll create my class. Let's say current date tool. This will take base class, base tool, and my name will be str, and that will be current date. Then the description will be a string again, and that will be, let's say, returns the current date, let's say in dd yyyy format. Okay, so these are the two init things that the class is going to have, and then I'll add underscore run method. This will take self, and this will return string, and obviously let's say I'll say synchronous current date lookup, and here I'll say now equals to datetime dot now, and I'll return now dot strf time. I'll say %d slash %m slash percentage capital Y. So this will create, our underscore run method, and I'll do the same thing with my arun method. So if you are new to this thing, what I want to convey here is that this underscore run will be called by this agent when this tool is invoked. And if we have used, if this is a stream, so in case instead of stream, if we use a stream or asynchronous stream, then the agent will try to run this function. So that's why a run is important. So I'll at this point save this, and I'll change this to stream. I'll save this. Now we need a way to connect the tool we have created to this agent. So what I'll do is that I'll say from current date tool import current date tool, and I'll say current date underscore tool equals to my current date tool, and I'll say, let's say tools equals to an empty list, and I'll say tools dot, let's say append current date tool, and here now instead of an empty list I'll say tools. So now this looks good, and now instead of hi I'll say what date is today, and I'll put a question mark, and I'll save this. Hopefully, if we, let's first clear the screen, and if we run the file again, yeah, now you'll see that there is a different scenario. The first case, there is no content, but it says that there is a tool call. Which tool is called? It says current date tool is called. What are the arguments? So there are no arguments. It doesn't take any argument. So call this tool. So you can see that the agent has called the tool. And I guess, I'm not sure, but I have made a mistake. Yeah, there is a dollar instead of star. Percentage sign. So I'll save this, and let's first retest this so that we can have the correct information. Yeah, so again the first part where it says that call the tool, it actually calls the tool and it gets the current date, And then, LLM comes into picture, understand these two things that we have asked what date is today, and it has the information about today's date. So it formats the information that today's date is this. So I hope now you understand that how we can create a tool and connect it to our ReAct agent, and this then works. So now let's add a tool which gets the current weather. So for that, what I'll do is that I'll create a new file. Let's say weather_tool.py, and at this point I'll copy paste a few amount of information here so that you don't have to see me type, and we need to install this package. So I'll say pip install this thing. Okay, let me freeze the requirements as well. Okay, yeah, let me clear the screen. So as you can see here, we have the same kind of weather tool which takes base tool. It has a name, description, some of the variables that this tool will need in order to run this _run or _a run function. And now you can see here that we have another thing, weather tool input. This takes pydantic base model. So what happens is that when we create this tool, we bind this argument schema weather tool input to this weather tool, so that LLM understands that I need to extract variables from user's conversation that fills these two variables. Okay, and once these two variables are filled, we will call this a run. This a run obviously will take these two parameters. This will be provided by the ReAct agent itself, and it will create a query, send request to this open weather API, gets the information, do some extraction. You can read more about open weather API, and I'm just extracting the information, few amount of information, and then formatting a string. So this string will be returned to the LLM, and then LLM will understand the query, the tool response, and it will generate its own response. And the same thing goes with the asynchronous, but the response is asynchronous, nothing more than that. We are using AIO HTTP to create a session and then asynchronously run this. So this is our weather tool. Now let's add this into our agent. So I'll say weather tool import weather tool. Now I'll say weather tool equals to weather tool. Now this takes few amount of information, as you can see, name, but it is there, description, it is there, argument schema is there, things are there, but it takes API key. So I'll say API key. I'll take it from my config and open weather API key. So I'm reading this from my .env file into this, and from this I'm getting it here. Now what we'll do is that tools.append, and we'll say weather tool. And I guess we don't have to do anything now because everything is set. We just attach this to our tools list and blah, means eureka, it attaches itself. Now if I say what's the weather is today, instead I'll say what date is today, I'll say what is the weather outside today. But when I run it, you'll see a beautiful thing happen here. So let's run the file and see what happens. So you can see we have this first message and it says, could you please provide me with your city or location so I can check the weather for you. Now you understand how intelligent is this system, ReAct agent. It understands that, okay, you want to get the weather, but you haven't provided the city. So what I'll do is that we can, do it with multiple ways, but I'll say AI message. I'll import that, and here I'll say AI message. The content will be this content. Okay. And the next message will be my human message content saying I live in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. Okay, and let's see what happens now. Oh, I guess here. So when I run this now, you'll see that there are many things happened. First, the agent decided that, I don't have to answer the question, but I actually have to call a tool. Which tool then? The tool name is weather tool. What are the arguments it take? So it takes city and country. So how did the LLM or agent got that, it needs to fill these two information? If we go here and you'll see that we have, we have provided these two parameters to fill in argument schema. So it extracted both the parameters from our conversation. Okay, from our conversation, it has extracted both of these, and then it actually called the tool, and tool has replied. Okay, and obviously it is coming from here. Okay, you can see. And once we have returned that, agent has understood all of these things, and it has created a beautiful message saying that the current weather in Gandhinagar, Gujarat is something and okay. So now you understand the power of this kind of ReAct agent. You attach a tool, and once you attach a tool, it uses the tool, fills the parameters or arguments, call the tool, again beautify the tool response into natural language. So let's add one more called serper tool. Okay, serper underscore tool dot py, and again I'll paste a few amount of information here instead of typing all of them. And again it's it has a serper search tool input, which is a query that you want to search on the internet. It has a name, description, argument schema, and API key. So whenever you call the tool, you need to provide the API key, and it has a function called serper. This actually calls the serper API, and passes the payload, the query, the location, and the country. It gets the response, and it either sends the JSON part of the response as a return value or empty object. And we have two functions, underscore run, and I'm not sure, and async run. So based on the invocation of the tool, we will either call run or asynchronous run. So now what I'll do is that obviously I'll come here and I'll say serper underscore tool equals to my bad, I need to, I'll say from serper tool import serper tool, and here serper tool, it will take API key. So I'll say config dot serper API key. Now my tool is there. What I'll do is that I'll say tools dot append serper tool, and this will work. So if I, let's say, instead of all of these things, I'll get rid of all of these things and I'll say get me latest news. And when I save this and when I run the application again, you'll see that the first thing it did was to decide which functions to call, or which function to call rather, and it has arguments, query, it says latest news, which function to call, serper search, and it actually ran the function with those arguments, and these are the things it got back. Okay, it was a large number of information, and then it has beautified the information. You can see we have a good amount of information based on whatever we have obviously provided. So this is how you can attach more tools to this ReAct agent, and you can build your application. This works in both synchronous and asynchronous way. So you can create API out of this, and you can expose it to any front-end application or Telegram, WhatsApp. The imagination is the only limit now. I guess this is it from my side of the video. I hope you have now gained knowledge how to build your own ReAct agent, and I'm very eagerly waiting to see what different kinds of agents you come up with. And if you face any issue or you have any question regarding the information I have provided, please write down a comment. I'll get back to you. I read almost all the comments that someone writes in my video. I hope this helps you, and if it helps you, please consider subscribing to my channel. That helps. Thank you for watching. Peace.